open meeting of council for February 6th, 2017. Call the meeting to order at 2 o'clock p.m. We have the adoption of some minutes, the minutes of the Committee of a Whole meeting of January 16th, 2017, the regular open of January 16th, 2017, the minutes of the special open meeting of January 16th, 2017, and that the special open minutes of January 23rd, 2017 be adopted.
So moved.
Moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Youngberg.
Announcing participants.
All in favor?
CJ.
I'm in favor.
Councillor Rhodes?
I'm in favor.
Okay, that was that was for the adoption of all the minutes. Thank you. Business arising from prior minutes? There's none. Introduction of any late items? Hearing none. Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Moved.
Councillor King, Councillor Youngberg. No delegations? No water matters? Correspondence? Moving to bylaws. Number 1, Report 1, Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw, number 1230-19-2017. First 3 readings. Report from our Director of Planning and Development Services.
First 2 readings. Thank you, Councillor Campbell. On January 5th, 2017, the RUS Regional Board approved an amended version of the South Okanagan Regional Growth Strategy, RGS, which in turn necessitates that the Soyuz amends its Regional Context Statement, RCS, in our OCP, showing how it supports the RGS. A copy of our OCP Amendment Bylaw, number 1230-19-217, is attached for first and second readings. The original South Okanagan RGS took 6 years to prepare before it was finally adopted by the RUS Board on April 1st, 2010. It applies to electoral areas A, C, D, E, and F, and the municipalities of Penticton, Summerlin, Oliver, and Osoyoos, but does not extend into the Similkameen Valley. According to the Local Government Act, the purpose of an RGS is, quote, to promote human settlement that is socially, economically, and environmentally friendly, and that makes best and efficient use of public facilities and services, land, and other resources. All regional district bylaws and services must be consistent with an RGS after adoption, whereas member municipalities have to meet the less demanding requirement of submitting a regional context statement for regional board approval, which is consistent with the rest of their OCP, demonstrates relationships between the OCP and the RUS, and if applicable, lays out how their RCP will be made consistent with the RGS over time, which did not apply in our case. The Local Government Act requires that the RGS be reviewed for possible amendment at least once every 5 years. In the case of the RUS, they conducted a preliminary review to determine whether a major or minor RGS update was merited at this time. They decided against considering a major review of RGS policies, which would have required a public consultation process, and instead chose to make minor refinements that can be approved by the RDS board without going out to the public. A consultant was retained to work with a project steering committee comprising senior planners from the RDS and member municipalities. The committee agreed on numerous refinements for going forward to the RDS board, including updated population projections, organizational restructuring of the RDS for improved readability and ease of locating topics, and considerable editing of its policies to improve their clarity and consistency and to remove redundancies. Consequent refinements needed to our regional context statement include reordering OCP policy references to match the new RGS structure and referencing new policies added to our OCP since original RGS adoption. Impacts community. Although the RDS does not need to consult with residents to approve the amended RGS, the town has to follow the normal public process for amending our OCP. Organizational. The Director of Planning and Development Services, a member of the technical committee that contributed to the original RGS and its ongoing implementation, and participated in the project steering committee on its update. In the latter capacity, the Director has recommended that the minor RGS update be followed relatively shortly with a major RGS review to ensure its ongoing relevancy and efficacy. Budget not applicable. Significant dates. After first and second bylaw readings, we have to go to a public hearing prior to third reading and then submit our RCS to the RDOS board for their acceptance before our final adoption. Staff recommends we organize back-to-back public hearings on the same date for the proposed RCS bylaw amendment and the proposed 4217 Lakeshore Drive OCP zoning amendments. And that has been scheduled for February the 20th in Council Chambers at 4:30. Sustainability. The intent of the RGS is largely centered on promoting social, economic, and environmental sustainability. Options. 1, Council give first and second readings to our OCP amendment bylaw, or 2, Council recommends further revisions to our OCP regional contact statement. Recommendations. Staff recommends that Council give first and second readings to OCP amendment bylaw number 1230.19 to 17. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Cunningham. Any discussion?
May I make a motion, please?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. I would move that we go with option 1, and I would like to speak to that in a minute.
Okay, do we have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Councillor Rhodes?
Yes.
Okay, Mayor McCordoff?
Thank you very much. The first and second readings to the bylaw were already passed at the regional district table, and I do appreciate the fact, I want to make sure that you realize that Director Cunningham was a member of this committee when it was first developed and in doing the updates as well. So he's very familiar with all of the parts to it, and I feel that the updates there is a printed form of them if anybody wants to see them. Director Cunningham has them. Do certainly make sense in this context, so that's why I'm happy to support option 1.
Okay. Would anybody else like to speak to that? Okay.
Who seconded the motion?
Councillor Rhodes. Okay, we'll go to vote. All in favor?
I'm in favor.
I'm in favor.
That's passed.
I think we also need a resolution from council to set the public hearing date.
Someone like-
So that's February 20th at 4:30, and it will be combined, piggybacked with the public hearing for 4217 Lakeshore Drive.
Okay, thank you.
I'll make that resolution.
Okay,
I'll second it.
moved by Councillor Rhodes, seconded by Mayor McCordoff. All in favor? That's passed. I should point out to anybody that's on Granicus or watching this that Mayor McCordoff and Councillor Rhodes have called in by telephone from underneath their sun umbrellas, but they are with us today.
I am not under any sun umbrella.
Right.
I'm stuck in Vancouver in the snow.
All right. Moving to bylaw.
Up here and there's no snow.
Oh, fair enough. Moving to bylaw 2, MTI amendment, bylaw number 1279-11-2017 for the first 3 readings. Report from Director of Financial Services, Mr. Zackel.
Thank you. So before council is MTI amendment bylaw 1279.11 2017. The cemetery and waste services bylaws were updated in 2016. This amendment bylaw is to update the MTI bylaws schedules so that they are correctly tied to the new revised bylaws. Schedules 1, 5, and 18 are being updated in the MTI Amendment Bylaw 1279.11 2017. Implications on community. There's nothing to report. Organizationally, nothing to report. Budget, nothing to report. Significant dates. First 3 readings for February 6, 2017, and consideration of adoption February 20th, 2017. Options before council to give first 3 readings to MTI Amendment Bylaw 1279.11 2017. Option 2 to make further amendments and give MTI Amendment Bylaw 2017, first three readings, or to option number 3, to not give first readings at this time. And the recommendation before council is option number 1. This will allow the MTI bylaw to be up to date with the town's current bylaws.
Thank you, Director Zackel. Councillor Youngberg.
Motion to option number 1 to give the first 3 readings to municipal ticket information amendment bylaw 1279.11/2017.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councillor King. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? That's carried.
I'm in favor.
I'm in favor as well.
Thank you. Moving to business 1. Wine Country Racing Association Airport Use Agreement, report from Director of Corporate Services. And I guess that'll be Mr. Romenko.
Thank you. The town has provided a license to use the airport to Wine Country Racing Association for the past several years for the purposes of using the runway for drag racing events. The Wine Country Racing Association has requested use of the airport again in 2017 for the following dates: May 6 and 7, the following 2017 dates: May 6 and 7, June 3rd and 4th, June 17th and 18th, September 23rd and 24th, October 7th and 8th. A copy of a license to use for 2017 is attached for council's approval. The terms and conditions are the same as previous years, with the exception of date changes from previous years, but still on Saturdays and Sundays. Liability insurance requirements were increased to $2 million, from $2 million to $5 million in 2016, and will remain so in 2017. In terms of implications for the community, to increase tourism, visitors to the community during race day events, and also there's a potential impacts of noise to the surrounding area. Organizationally, monitoring of the agreement and airport conditions. Budget revenue based on 33% share of the net ticket sales and participant fees go to the town. Sustainability, no issues. This agreement requires renewal from year to year. 3 options are presented to council. 1, that council approve the license to use the Wine Country Race, approve the license to use to the Wine Country Racing Association for 2017 as attached, and the town signatories be authorized to sign. 2, that the attached agreement be amended by staff, and 3, that the request to use the airport be denied. The staff is recommending option number 1.
Thank you, Mr. Romenko. I do have a question. Is there any concern or consideration for the grant applications that are out there with the Airport Development Society now that might interfere with the use from this organization if work is going to be done?
I can't see work being done prior to that
time.
We're looking at, even if we haven't heard anything about grant applications, then we get into tendering times and construction times. I would suspect we're okay for this year.
Okay, thank you.
I guess I had a sort of the same little question. Thank you, Councillor. If a developer can afford to develop one of those industrial sites, would that have any impact on either, interference with either happening?
The last I heard was that J.F. Lanier was working cooperatively with the racing associations.
That's my understanding as well.
Yeah.
I'll move option 1, acting Mayor Campbell.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder?
I will.
Councillor Youngberg? Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor?
I'm in favor.
Okay. That's carried. Business 2. Penticton Model Aviation Club Airport Use Agreement. Report from Director of Corporate Services, Mr. Romenko.
Yes, Council approved a use agreement with the Penticton Model Aviation Club, PENMAC, for a 1-year term each year since 2013 in order for PENMAC to use the airport to fly model aircraft. There have been no issues in the past with the use of the airport by PENMAC for this purpose. They are requesting an agreement for another year ending December 31st, 2017. Insurance is provided through the Model Aeronautics Association of Canada in the amount of $2 million. There is no fee being charged for this to the group, as there is no direct expense to the town. terms of implications for the community, the club provides a recreation opportunity for local people and brings other people to town to participate in the activities. Organizationally, just staff time to monitor the contract, no budget or significant dates involved, and no issues. 3 options provided for council. That council approve the agreement with PENMAC for the use of the Osoyoos Airport for the term January 1 to December 31, 2017. 2, that staff make changes to the agreement and return to council for further review. And 3, the council does not approve the agreement with PENMAC for the use of the airport, and staff recommends option number 1.
Thank you, Mr. Romenko. Councillor King?
Thank you. If this happens to get passed, who has first right of refusal, the aviation or the drag racers?
Well, they work together. It's
Okay, so there's kind of got a mutual agreement?
Yeah, this is more of an ad hoc use as opposed to a planned use. So, but certainly the drag racers would and their scheduled events, and we've never had an issue with that.
No, okay. And then would there be any reason to 2 million you feel comfortable with instead of 5?
Yeah, we don't see a problem with that. It's often the nature of the larger crowds for events usually causes some need for larger insurance liabilities.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Youngberg?
As in B, under the term, it says ongoing basis, they'll cooperate with Wine Country from sunup to sundown on racing days. So, got it covered.
They fly at night. Because they might be into more of the new things. What are they called?
Anyways, I'd like to make the motion that we're going to go with option number 1 and approve the agreement with the Penticton Model Aviation Club for the use of January 1st to December 31st, 2017 for the use of the Osoyoos Airport.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councillor King. Any further discussion?
Does this include drones? Doesn't come into play?
No, they don't fly drones. They fly model
I know
aircraft.
what they fly, but maybe they broaden their...
No, I don't think so. And in fact, there's even the drones. They have you require special licensing to fly them, especially in and around airport, any type of airstrip.
Oh, really? So even if their dragsters wanted to fly their own drone, they'd have to get a permit?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay, thank you.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
I'm in favor. I'm in favor.
That's carried. Thank you. Okay, moving to business 3. Items requiring council direction on the financial plan, and that is Director Zackel.
Thank you. So at the January 16, 2017 public open meeting of council, a number of submissions were heard by council, and they included presentations by the Pickleball Group, the Osoyoos Gift Cupboard, Osoyoos Lake Water Quality Society, the Osoyoos Airport Development Society, Harbor Key Resident, Osoyoos Child Care, Cactus Jalopies, Osoyoos Festival Society, Desert Park Exhibition Society, Osoyoos Elementary School, Simerselli, and Music in the Park. To move this financial plan forward, direction regarding these financial requests is required. A total of $131,137 in funding requests have been made by these groups, and we're going to ask that council deal with each one of them one at a time. So the first one that I'm bringing forward for council's consideration is pickleball. A presentation was made by the Pickleball Group asking council to increase their funding from $15,000 to $20,000 to create 4 pickleball courts. This project is included in the 2017 budget for $30,000, with $15,000 coming from the town and $10,000 coming from the RDOS and a balance of $5,000 coming from the Pickleball Group. There is a potential for the town to apply for a New Horizon grant. However, the pickleball users are requesting that council provide upfront funding to ensure the project moves forward and is not slowed down waiting for grant funding. Town staff will be making an application for funding through this grant program. If successful, this would reduce the requirement of operating and reserve funds needing to be spent. So the options before council for this financial request include increase the funding for pickleball courts by $5,000 from reserves, or increase taxation by 0.21% to offset the additional requirement of $5,000, or make the development of the pickleball courts dependent on the successful grant funding, or use grant and aid funds to support this request, to refer this request to the Director of Community Services to be added to the request through the grant and aid program, or to not support the additional request for funding. And it's at this point we'd like to get council's direction.
Thank you. Would anybody like to speak to this?
I'll speak to it. I've been reading this a couple of times, and I wasn't quite sure about the funding. I do know that we put $30,000 in the budget, $10,000 from the $15,000 from the town, $10,000 from the RDOF. Did we put $25,000 in the budget or $30,000? Or were we? Because I wasn't quite sure where that came from. It sounded like they were asking for $5,000 more on this one. And I guess my suggestion is, if that's the case, that maybe it should go to the grant and aid request. That's just a thought.
So for the project, the total project is $30,000. That project does not change in scope. The only thing that's being requested as a change is, rather than the pickleball group coming up with an additional $5,000, they're asking that the town consider increasing their portion of funding from $15,000 to $20,000.
I see. Okay. So if the grant came in, that the town would then get reimbursed the $5,000.
That is correct, or up to whatever our grant application is.
I tend to agree. I kind of feel this should come through the grant and aid program, in my opinion.
That's what I thought right off the bat.
I'd like to speak on the other side. I'd like to see us move forward here with the $5,000, and if there's a way it can be worded, if they do get that extra funding, we get reimbursed. I'm just coming from that point of view. Grant and aid has X amount of dollars, and we usually get oversubscribed to start with.
Ultimately, I will need a resolution from council.
Yes.
Number one. Number two, it's council's direction as far as how they want to fund it, if they want to fund it or not through the grant and aid program or separately. The grant application will be totally a town grant application. Right. That money would go back into the town's funding no matter what.
Regardless.
Yeah.
Okay. Councillor Youngberg?
I have a question, Acting Mayor Capel.
Okay, go ahead.
Just curious about one of the options, about waiting to see how the grant application plays out. If we were to choose that, would it have any impact on the grant application or the results of the grant application?
Go ahead.
It would affect the project. If the grant, the project would be held up until we find out if we receive grant funding or not. If we do not receive the grant funding, then we've only got $25,000 out of the $30,000 secured to do this project. So then what would happen is council would either have to do a budget amendment or a financial plan amendment to come up with the additional funding if the grant wasn't successful.
A budget amendment is not a tedious task, though, is it?
No, it's not. If there's other funding remaining from other capital projects, the thing that would make it a little more cumbersome is when would this potential grant be awarded? So we would be holding up this project until we receive that grant funding. So it could be, potentially the fall of this year, or just like some of the other grant applications that we've got out there, we're still waiting to hear.
Okay. Councillor Youngberg?
So I'm going to suggest that we go ahead with the full amount. It was pointed out to me after the meeting the last time by the pickleball people that we might like, the town might like to use this as a Canada 150 special and put up a sign saying that the pickleball courts were put in on Canada's 150th birthday. They thought it would be a good option, but then they're a very keen bunch, and they want this money and they want their pickleball court, so I get it.
It's a great angle, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, Councillor Youngberg?
It's all right. We're moving ahead. The New Horizons grant, how lucky are we going to be to get it?
No idea.
None?
No
Is
idea.
it a new grant?
I believe it's a new grant.
Yeah, I haven't heard of it before.
That Gerald
That's
would be.
why
Well, the New Horizons program has been around for years.
Oh, so
But
have you ever used it?
the seniors centers has applied for it in the past and been successful. I think the applications aren't out yet, and they won't be out probably until April. So I not knowing what the turnaround time is, if we're waiting for the New Horizons grant, this project is pretty well off the books for this year, I would think, because a lot of those grant programs, if they don't fund a project that's been started.
Yeah, they don't.
I think the reason I was asking was simply because we'll go ahead with the funding for sure. I'm in favor of that, but also applying for the grant. But if it's a waste of time to apply for the grant because 3 other organizations in town would have applied for it, then we can't consider this $5,000 as coming back to our
It's
financial.
never a waste of time to apply for a grant.
Okay.
Be applying
We'd
for grants.
definitely be applying for a grant, no matter what,
Okay.
to try.
Good.
If council is in favor of supporting any one of these financial requests, I also need to be part of the resolution how we're going to fund this, either from reserves, grant and aid, tax increase,
Do you want that as a separate motion or as part of this motion?
all part of the one motion if possible.
Mayor McCordoff, do you want to reword your
I
motion?
would, yes, I would like to see it supported with $5,000 from reserves. I was listening to Councillor King say that he felt that using grant and aid funds might deplete other things that might be needed for that. So I'm willing to say let's put the $5,000 from reserves and hope that we get the grant and it can be returned in there.
Councillor Rhodes, are you okay with that?
If that's a friendly amendment, I'm definitely in favor of it, yes.
Okay, Councillor King?
Can I just get clarity? Thank you. It won't tie into the Canada Day 150 funding whatsoever? No, that's what I wanted to make sure.
The Canada Day 150 funding,
That would
there's
take away from
there's no
Canada Day
programs
event.
open at this particular point in time.
And the grant they applied
Yeah.
for, this extra 5,000, which program was that?
This would just come out of just our reserves.
No, I know, but they said they
New
applied.
Horizons.
Oh, the New Horizons.
Yeah, they haven't
That's the
applied for
grant.
anything.
And that's next year. That's won't happen.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
I'm in favor.
I'm in favor.
Okay, that's carried.
Okay, the second one is the Oseus gift cupboard. A presentation was made by this group asking for financial assistance of $100 per month or $1,200 annually to assist with keeping their items available in their gift cupboard. So these options before council is, first option is use grant and aid funds to support this request. Second option is to refer this request to the Director of Community Services to be added to the request through the grant and aid program. The third option is to increase taxes by 0.05% to offset the additional requirement of $1,200, or option 4, to not support this funding request.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Can I speak to that?
You may.
Unless somebody else wants to. I feel like I'm kind of off on that side here.
We miss you. It's okay.
I'm sorry.
We miss you. It's
Yes?
okay.
Oh, no, you guys are doing fine. No problem. But I thought about this one quite a lot, and I think that the 3 ladies that are involved in this and putting it together have done a phenomenal job, and I know that they spend a lot of time and effort, but to me it seems like it's a sort of a love thing that they've got, and they seem to totally enjoy it. I think there are so many groups in town already that have volunteered to provide items for this cupboard. They've only had it going for maybe 4 or 5 months, maybe less than that. They seem to have lots of product to put in there, and I really think that people doing something, volunteering and providing donations to a cupboard like this is the way to go. And I would like to say, let's use the donations and ask the community for help with this, rather than giving them a grant. If a year from now there was a problem getting things for this cupboard, then I think we need to look at it. But to my mind, there isn't right now, and I think it's a really feel-good use of a town's resources, the town community's resources, and their feeling of doing something for somebody else. So I would support not giving them funding at this time.
Thank you. I'm personally torn on this, and here's why. Watching this initiative, whenever I see people within our community come together for an initiative that helps out the community in any way, especially when it comes to economic conditions, I always not only want to acknowledge it, but to reward it in some way. However, what I've seen so far with the gift cupboard, similar to what I've seen recently with a resident that had an unfortunate fire in their house, is watching the community come up big. I mean, by filling storage lockers with things.
Yeah.
And I've seen this cupboard operate that way from businesses and just citizens in our community. So it's a tough one for me, because we always want to encourage these types of initiatives, and I do know how much time these three ladies are taking of their own time and expense to make this happen, and they're certainly passionate about it. So that's my feeling.
Yep, and I agree with you.
Councillor King?
Okay, I think. I support what Mayor McCardoff said. I think they could actually more likely reach out to 2 or 3 of the nonprofits like Rodeo or Elks and raise the $1,200 quite easily.
Councillor Youngberg?
My comments are exactly the same, I think, on their presentation. They said they would not be requesting funds from the town at that point in time, and from my experience of donating to that cupboard, we had boxes of stuff. And I think the community is going to come together when they see the cry out for contents. I'm sure the community is going to be very, very supportive and will step up. So I agree with Mayor McCordoff and the other councillors that we cannot support the funding request.
Thank you. Do I see a motion in our future?
Yep.
I have a comment, if I could.
Go ahead, Councillor Rhodes.
Well, just so I can be completely different, I certainly feel somewhat supportive about all of the comments and that kind of thing, but I too was quite torn with making a decision about this one. And at the end of the day, I felt that it would be a good thing for us to support this request for the $1,200. I know they asked for $100 a month, but that's a little hard for us to do. And the reason I feel that way is because of almost all of the things that everybody's mentioned. The people that are volunteering put a lot of effort and time and resources into this kind of thing. They did take the initiative to come to us and ask. And, I think when people do that they have a very good reason for it. And in my opinion, the $1,200 that they're asking for would not really diminish the volunteer aspect. I don't think it would diminish the amount of stuff that's donated from the community, both from residents and businesses. And I think it would make it a much better thing, probably with more and better stuff in there for the people that it's intended for. That's kind of the way I feel about it, and I know it's vastly opposing to everybody else, but like I mentioned earlier, I was also torn with this, and that's the decision that I came up with.
Yeah, I'd also like to point out, from what I've seen through social media, that this group isn't just stocking a gift cupboard. They seem to step up when there's needs or opportunities in the community to help out, and they do that through social media, where they're bringing the community together to help with certain things, but they're sort of spearheading it and organizing it. So they seem to, this organization seems to be a little bit more than just the gift cupboard itself. Councillor King.
I agree, and I think we've got a lot of people in this town that do so many wonderful things to help other people. And you know what? It's a feel-good. It makes you feel good when you help somebody else. So not only are you giving, you know, your money and your time, but you know what? It's a healthy thing to do. So I'm totally in favor of not supporting the request, the funding request at this time, and wait to see. I think they're doing a great job. We all appreciate it. They get lots of press time, but I would just as soon wait and see and give them a few more months, and if they do need help, well, then we could look at it.
Councillor King.
I guess you could sway my thing to maybe giving them half the amount, because I'm pretty positive they sent a letter to Rotary for $200 or $300 or else. I believe those nonprofits give back to the community personally. Otherwise,
Do we have a motion on the floor?
We don't.
No.
Are we?
If there's not a motion on the floor, I would like to make one.
Go ahead.
That we support their request of $1,200 for the next year.
I'll second that.
From where? From where?
From where, Councillor Rhodes? Where would the funding come from?
I'm sorry?
Where would the
Now, Mike,
funding?
I'm having a bit of a, I can hear everybody else very clearly, but you're a little light and
I'll yell at you. I'm soft and sensitive. Where would the funds come from? Where would you like to see the funds come from, Councillor Rhodes?
I'm thinking from the grant and aid program.
Councillor King?
And I do have a reason for that. If anyone is interested, I think that they would probably apply there if this was denied anyway.
I believe one of the
Well, we
criteria.
need a seconder first.
Okay.
If nobody else will, I'll second.
Okay.
Okay, Councillor King?
I believe one of the criteria for grant and aid, they have to be a registered nonprofit organization, and they are not a grant or nonprofit organization.
Is that the case? I wasn't aware of that.
Off the top of my head, I think that is one of the,
One of the criteria.
again, they could get somebody else to apply for them.
They could,
Right.
yes. But right now, they don't.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Mayor Campbell, was there a second on that? I'm sorry, I kind of missed that whole part of it after.
Yes, I seconded your motion.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Okay, we have a motion on the table. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
I'm in favor.
The motion's been defeated.
No, you got
You have to ask.
Oh, sorry, and against?
Yeah. Sue?
Yes?
Are you for or against it?
Oh, sorry, I was against CJ's motion. That's why I didn't vote for it.
Okay.
Now the motion's been defeated. Would anybody like to put forth another motion?
I'll put a motion that we do not support the gift cupboard financially at this time, and we look at it again in another year.
Do I have a seconder?
Second.
Councillor Youngberg? Any further discussion? All in favor?
I'm in favor.
I'm
Yeah.
opposed.
I'm opposed. That's carried.
Yeah.
Mr. Zackel?
Okay, moving on to the next one. Swiss Lake Water Quality Society. A presentation was made by this group asking for $2,000 in assistance with updating the website and pamphlet. Options before council. Option 1, to use grant and aid fundings to support this request. Option 2, to refer this request to the Director of Community Services to be added to the request through the grant and aid program. Option 3, to increase taxes by 0.09% to offset the additional requirement of $2,000. Or Option 4, to not support this funding request.
Thank you. Discussion?
I would like to suggest that this one go to the grant and aid process.
I'll second that.
They are a nonprofit group, I believe, so
I'd
they
second
could apply to that.
Is that a motion?
Yes?
Thank you. That's seconded by
I'll second that.
Actually, Councillor King seconded that. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
I'm in favor.
Yep.
I'm in favor as well.
Carried. Mr. Zacco?
Okay. Osceola Airport Development Society, a presentation was made by this group asking for $48,000 to assist with improvements at the airport. This group is wanting to complete an airport master plan, runway markings, perimeter fencing, and site cleanup, airport or apron improvements and site cleanup, as well as runway extension to the south. The total cost of all these projects are $330,000, with potential grant funding covering up to $250,000 and $80,000 coming from other sources, which includes $16,000 from the Osceola Airport Development Society, $16,000 from Destination Osceola, and a financial request of the town of Osceola for $48,000. Some options before council. Option 1, fund this request from reserves in the amount of $48,000 subject to the awarding of all grant requests as noted. Option 2, to increase taxes by 2.06% to offset the additional requirement of $48,000. Option 3, to fund certain priority projects as determined by council subject to the awarding of the grant request. Option 4, fund this project in a council-identified manner to a maximum of $32,000 to avoid duplicate funding through Destination Osceola. And Option 5, to not support the funding request.
Thank you, Director Zacco. A quick question on the first option there. That's from the general reserve funds?
That's correct.
Thank you. Discussion? Councillor King?
Yeah, I guess I have to have a question. Has there been any update from the Airport Society on where their funding sits?
There's been no update at all.
Okay.
I have a question as well.
Go ahead, Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you. I'm also wondering about consequences of waiting until there is an update on the grant applications and that kind of thing. Just pointing out the impact of allocating this money in option number 2 there, that the increase is 2.06 to taxation. I have a lot of concerns about that, and I'm just wondering if it might be more prudent for us to perhaps wait until we get that definitive update from either the society or the grant application is accepted and approved.
So that sounds like you're talking to option number 3?
No.
No?
No, none of them.
Okay. Councillor King?
Jim, can I ask you, Mr. Zackel, is there room to table this till we get some input for a month or 60 days? Or how that would impact your budget? We'd have to have it in before we finalize the budget?
Well, it wouldn't be in time to be added or finalized with the original budget. What we'd be doing is doing a financial plan amendment to add this in at a later date if that's what happens.
Okay.
And that's two council meetings and 2 weeks of advertising to get something added in later on.
Okay.
So if council wishes to defer, it's not a problem.
So, Councillor Campbell, can I speak to this? I'm
Please.
feeling the same way as Councillor Rhodes. 2% increase in the budget is, 2.06 is 48,000. We've been a little bit weary of supporting things with the airport because we're not quite sure what's going to happen there, what things are going to be done, and I really think that if we need to do a financial update later, then let's deal with that. I know it may be a little bit more, but I can't see supporting a $48,000 ask right now.
Councillor King?
I guess instead of just say not supporting the fund, can we just make a motion to table this?
You can.
Okay, well then I'd like to put that
I have
on the table.
a comment as well.
The tabling is a very formal term.
Okay.
I think that it'd be better to have the motion read something to the effect that this this grant request be denied until further information comes forward as to the successful application for
grants.
for grant funding.
Okay, that's what I want then.
You're making that motion?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Is there a seconder?
I'll
I'll
second.
second that.
That's Mayor McCordoff. Anybody like to speak to this? Okay. All in favor?
I'm in favor.
I'm in favor as well.
It's carried. Mr. Zackel?
Okay. Harbor Key. A resident of Harbor Key neighborhood asked if council would consider moving the Harbor Key reconstruction project forward sooner than scheduled. Currently, this project is in the town's 5-year financial plan, and the $725,000 project is in the 2021 budget, showing the source of funding coming from borrowing. So options before council: option 1, to keep the Harbor Key Road reconstruction project in 2021. Option 2, to move the project earlier in the 5-year capital plan. Option 3, to approve engineering funds for the costing of the project to initiate a borrowing in year identified for implementation, and seek resident approval as per council's policy to have the benefiting residents pay 50% of the neighborhood improvements. Or option 4, to not support moving the project forward.
Thank you. Councillor King?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Do we know approximately what it would be for an engineering funds to see what it would be? What that type of cost would be, roughly speaking, from other things we've done?
To repave Harbor Key?
You're talking about for the engineering?
Funds, yeah.
I don't have that handy, but Harbor, it's
Expensive?
it's fairly expensive, and it's not a very, like, there are far worse roads in our community than Harbor Key. Harbor Key, really the only residents that use it are the people that live on Harbor Key, and it has no through traffic, so I wouldn't recommend bumping it ahead of schedule of other roads that need more serious consideration first.
Yeah, I think if that being the case, I'm not sure why we would approve engineering funds this early in the...
Yeah, you wouldn't need, like, the engineering probably wouldn't be that much if all you're talking about doing is doing a simple overlay and maybe putting in some storm drainage. It wouldn't be that expensive for the engineering piece, but I don't know why, like I said, why you would do it now if we're not going to fix it for another 5 years. So, and I wouldn't recommend going earlier than that.
I think this option was put forward to council just to follow the policy, to say we need better costing. If in fact we could send a letter to all the affected residents and say, we've done engineering costing on this. It will be approximately this amount. Are you prepared to move this ahead? That's why that option was put forward to council for consideration. But if it's going to remain for 2021, then we could just leave it like that until they came and petitioned us for improvement under the policy.
Right.
Because it's really hard to guess what the price of asphalt will be in 2021, right? Because the price of oil fluctuates so much. It could be high, it could be low, but it's hard to guess at this point what the cost would be.
That makes sense. Okay. Anybody else like to speak to this or make a motion?
I have a comment as well.
Councillor Rhodes?
Thank you. I think I heard Director Dinwiddie comment on that it was quite broken up, but I just wanted to support his comment about this particular drive servicing primarily the residents that live down there. There's absolutely no doubt that there's work required in that area, but our problem right now is, and I'm not sure whether Mr. Dinwiddie suggested this, is that as we roll through some of the projects over the next couple of years and that kind of thing, there are many, many roads that are used by the general public and visitors to our community that need attention far more than Spark Drive does right now. And the regrettable feature about each one of these projects is the cost to the taxpayer in our community. And the 162nd Avenue going up around by the high school, that whole road is deteriorated badly. It's probably at the top of our priority list right now, and And, you know, I just simply feel that we can't afford it right now, and that's why it's been moved to that 2021 date, so that we can deal with it at a later date. I have a lot of sympathy and I have a lot of empathy, and there's a realization that work needs to be done on Spartan, or on, not on Spartan, I'm sorry, on that Harbor Key, and you know, that's a reality. However, we do have higher priorities in this right now. I would like to make a motion of not supporting moving the project forward.
Thank you.
I second that.
Seconded by Mayor McCordoff. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion?
I'm in favor.
I'm in favor.
Okay, that's passed. Mr. Zackel?
Okay, next request is from the Osuis Child Care Center. This group made a number of requests for financial assistance that included $4,500 for playground improvements, $27,820 for flooring replacement, and $19,217 for installation of solar panels. Since the meeting of January 16th, Spirit of BC organizers have confirmed that they will fund the $4,500 for playground request. So options before council: to fund the request for flooring replacement from reserves in the amount of $27,820. Option 2, to fund the request for solar panels from reserves to a maximum of $19,217, and that the Osuis Child Care Center provide a cost-benefit analysis of installing solar panels, and work is completed to explore grant opportunities. Option 3, to increase taxes by 1.2% to offset the additional requirements of $27,820 for flooring replacement. Option 4, to increase taxes by 0.83% to offset the additional requirement of $19,217 for solar panels. And option 5, to not support the funding request.
Okay, thank you. And I can confirm that the $4,500 has already been paid. Any discussions on this?
Yep.
Okay, Councillor Youngberg?
I'd like to make the motion to fund the request for solar panels from reserves to a maximum of $19,217 after the Osuis Child Care Center provides a cost-benefit analysis of installing solar panels and work is completed to explore the grant opportunities.
Thank you. Is there a seconder?
I'll second that.
Councillor King?
Project is...
Yeah, I'm struggling with this. I think to me the floor is the big priority at the 27. And we haven't looked to our own buildings or for solar panels, our own municipal buildings. So I personally don't see the solar panel as a priority, but that's my thoughts.
My comment to the solar panels and my discussion, since it's part of my portfolio, is that they have got assistance in funding already dedicated to contribute to the successful completion of the solar panel installation. So this was extra money that they required to actually proceed with the project. So the flooring replacement, I know that that's of great importance, but my suggestion to them was that they possibly get some joint participation from sponsorships in town, such as the building supply places and things like that we've been successful with in the past. So that was the only discussion that I have had, not with Karen, but with Warren, Brian. So that's why I made that.
So I'm confused here. The solar panels are directly tied into the flooring?
No.
Okay.
Solar panels are a different project.
Right, okay.
And they do have some funding already dedicated to that project.
What they're showing on here is the solar panels, the total cost of installation is what they're asking for, and that's $19,217. So they're asking for the full amount of the installation.
Yeah, I think that my motion is to provide a cost-benefit analysis for installation, because there seems to be some conflict in my discussion with them as opposed to their request. Okay? So
I have a question.
Councillor
So do
Rhodes?
I. Go ahead.
Councillor Rhodes?
Well, thank you. In the motion, was there a determination of where the funding would come from?
Yes, it was either suggesting from reserves or tax increase.
The motion says from reserves.
Mayor McCordoff?
My concern is that we're a little confused about how much they really need. If Councillor Youngberg is correct that they've already got some money assigned from somewhere else, then perhaps the $19,000, which is the total project, is not a true figure of what they need. And I'm just a little bit concerned about saying, yes, let's fund $19,000 for solar panels when there may be other things that play into this. And I'm just not comfortable saying, yes, we'll take that out of reserves until we know really what it is that that they need, and is that, like, that seems like an awful lot of money on a one-shot deal when they've already got what, and they asked for the playground. So they're ahead of the game already, aren't they? I understand why they need it. I'm just a bit confused about how much it is and what they need it for. So I'd be a little wary of this one.
Before we go any further, can we get some clarity? So it is the full amount of installation is the 19,000 and change.
The whole project.
That's what that's all I.
But
that
could
I
I
thought.
just refer you all to the motion that I made?
Yes.
The motion says that we are going to fund the request after the Osuyas Child Care Center provides a cost-benefit analysis of installing the solar panels. If the cost analysis comes in showing that they already have $10,000 from another source, then they would be asking $9,217 from us. We want to see the cost analysis of installation before we're going to approve the $19,000.
That's not what the cost analysis is. It's for the benefit from having the solar panels, on
Right.
the efficiency of the building.
Seeing how
That's
much
the
it
cost
is.
analysis we're
Yeah.
talking about, not
I
the funding of the
understand
project.
that too, but I want to know where that $10,000 comes in that we discussed.
But that's not
at
part of the
meeting.
cost analysis. That ain't,
Would
that-
it not show?
no.
A
It's to show,
donation wouldn't show in a cost analysis?
well, it's a benefit cost analysis, so it's a report showing that the improved efficiency saves X amount of dollars
Right.
in energy.
He's got the real budget over there.
The second part of that resolution also stated that basically that work is completed to explore grant opportunities. So if it is a donation that they've received, then ultimately that funding request of 19,000 shouldn't be 19,000.
Will
It should
come
be
down.
whatever
Yeah.
the request is. So it's almost like additional information is required by council to make an actual decision on this one.
Yeah, I think
I agree.
I think that we're dealing with two different things, and it sounds like there's a lot of confusion around the solar panels, and we need to understand that a little better, and that the floor is a separate issue on its own.
Yeah, this may be a good one for discussion in the grant and aid
That's
area.
Wouldn't have any type of money.
Councillor King?
I guess I go back. Do you have the actual budget? Like, did they show you a number like it's 60,000 total, and they need 20 to install?
No, they showed a 19,217 budget,
That's what he said.
and that's all they referenced to. There's
We need
nothing.
more information.
There's nothing
Yeah,
else.
we need more information.
Okay, well,
I
I'll
agree.
amend the motion then to add at the bottom that work is, what can we do? We can amend that motion to ask for further information, can we? Or should we just defeat the
cancel it
motion?
all.
I think we should deal with the motion right now.
Defeat the motion?
Well, if that's
I would suggest that you vote on this motion, and because the motion actually speaks to providing funding, and if
Yeah.
council is not comfortable with the amount of information in front of you, you probably should seek out more information before making a decision relating to funding.
So did who seconded that?
King,
Councillor King.
Young King.
All right. So let's that's option number 2. All in favor?
We'll have to, I guess I should vote. in
You
favor.
don't have to.
No, don't have to.
You don't have to.
You don't have to?
No.
Okay.
I'm opposed.
I'm opposed.
I'm opposed.
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 Okay. So that motion's been defeated. Councillor Youngberg, was there another motion you wanted to put on the table?
Well, I need some guidance from CAO because I think we should put a motion in place that we don't completely not support the funding request. We should support the request based on further information being provided.
Well, I think we need to request further information without committing to.
How much they're actually asking for.
We want to understand that with the 19,000, is that the entire cost of the project? Is that installation? Is there other funds coming toward a project and that's coming off of the 19,000? I think that's what we're trying to understand, right?
The total cost of installation and panels is $19,217. So that's the total cost. If they've got other funding, they should be letting us know so that council's got that information.
So I'd suggest that we just, that council just direct administration to seek out additional information relating to any other funding that they may have for the project. Also some cost-benefit numbers of providing solar panels, and that this information be provided to us prior to probably February 14th, because council can then review this again on the 20th at their council meeting, because we have another meeting, budget meeting scheduled for February 24th, and we'd like the numbers, if at all, to be pretty, yeah.
Okay.
Could I ask?
You're making that motion?
Could I ask a question, please? Sorry, CJ, but you go ahead first. You were making a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make that motion directing staff to provide that report.
Seconded by Councillor King.
I will second that. And could I also add that the building inspector, has he looked at this? And I know that one of the concerns that when I was talking to Neil about a project like this is that roof trusses and roofs have to be very, very carefully built in order to support this, to support any kind of solar panels. And I'm just wondering if that has been factored into this, or whether Neil has had any say in their request. So could we check with Mr. Padgett about that?
Yeah, you can. The inspector has done the report that they do have, but I think it should be sent to us as part of the information.
Yes, okay.
Because they did
I
look,
agree.
it was
I think we need
the
to
first
make
question that I had on when they approached me about this.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Just wondering if we could have that read back before we vote.
Can we read that?
Thank you.
In a moment.
That council direct administration to seek out additional information from the Osoyoos Child Care Center regarding any additional funding they may have for the solar panel project, and that a cost-benefit analysis be provided on solar panel installation, and we'll get them all together, and any report relative to the structural integrity of the roof being able to support the solar panel installation.
Councillor Rhodes?
That's exactly what I wanted to say.
Exactly.
And I agree. I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
I'm in
I'm
favor.
in favor.
Okay, that's passed. Now we should deal with the floor. Any discussion or motion to put on the table? Can I?
Yes.
I move to fund the request for flooring replacement from reserves in the amount of $27,820.
And I'll second that.
Discussion?
Hold it. I'm not quite sure. Are you suggesting that we get the floor replacement of $27,800? You're asking for that?
Yes.
Is that the motion?
Correct.
Oh. Wow. That again, I'm quite concerned about that. That's a heck of a lot of money, 1.2% increase in taxes. And I would like to have more information about this one, too.
Mayor McCordoff, that's from reserve funds.
Pardon me?
It's from reserve funds?
Oh, yeah, no, I understand that, but still it's a lot for reserve funds. And I'm thinking if the solar panels issue is being handled a certain way where we've got the information about it. To me, this is another one, but I just, that's only my thought. So I'm one.
I think
Rhodes is first.
I think Councillor Rhodes wanted to speak.
Well, I'd like to echo, well, thank you. I'd like to echo Mayor McCordoff's comments. You know, I understand the source of the money and what's recommended from reserves. The way that I, you know, work through all of these different numbers and the projects and that kind of thing is I typically transfer all of these amounts back to how much we have to raise taxes to cover them. But, you know, it has its flaws in making decisions that way. I understand all of that. But a $27,000 investment in flooring replacement requires way more discussion and information, because at the end of the day, it's about a 2.5% increase to taxes. I know it says 1.20 in the recommendation, but you know, it's, I don't know, it's a lot of money, and to make a spontaneous decision like this is, to me, it requires more thought.
I agree.
Councillor King?
I just want to clarify. I think we were talking about coming out of reserves and not increasing taxes.
No,
to
but
start
he's
with.
relating it to what it would be.
I know, I understand that. I guess my question would be, did they get a couple quotes to come up with that 27,000 by chance, or that's just a number they put in their proposal?
They have one quote in here for $27,000. So that's the only one that we have in here. I believe this is a town-owned building as well, so it's not a privately owned building.
But I guess normally if we go out for an RFP or request, we should get a couple quotes. So
We would have had a couple quotes for sure.
Yeah.
And definitely one from our local businesses if they were able to provide this.
Acting Mayor Campbell, may I speak for a minute?
You may.
I just wondered when the last time that we ever put money into that building. Because, you know, education and childcare is predominantly one of the biggest areas that we have to be looking at, since our elementary school is completely overloaded. Our daycare centers are, there has been one that's closed recently due to some unforeseen reasons, but we really have to step up in this community to look after our young children. And this is the only facility that is owned by the town that is providing a really extensive childcare center. And I'm really speaking not only for the request, but for the people that work there on a day-to-day basis. This building, I'm not sure how many of you have been through this building, but I really encourage you to go through and have a look at the building. It's very old. They've improved it. McLean Construction went in 3 years ago and did a lot of volunteer improving and supplied his own material. And I'm not sure that this is what we should be looking at as leaders of the community. I really feel that, you know, this is one area that's extremely important in the community to support the young families. The cost of daycare is really high, and they get, you know, they should have some nice surroundings when they pay that kind of money. Those are only my thoughts, and I'm just hoping that all of you are thinking about the children in our area and how much help we need. And so kudos to Spirit of the Games for coming up with playground improvements, which was extremely needed as well. But that shouldn't be considered when we talk about, you know, improving a building that the town owns. That's just my comments.
Thank you. CAO Remenko?
Yes, I don't know what the terms of the lease are. Whether it may be a town building, but there may be something in the lease that makes the user, it may be their responsibility to do capital improvements.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think again, this is a fair amount of money. The council may want to just take a look at what the town's obligations are. Take a look at the building And, rather than this be a part of kind of, if council is going to make a facility enhancement, that it should be done, first of all, we should visit the place. It should be done under the rules that we do relative to seeking out quotes, taking a look at what priorities are. So, again, to echo some council concerns about making a decision immediately, perhaps a decision on this should minimally wait until we've had an opportunity to explore the terms of the lease and take a look at the building.
So I just want to, in my opinion, I want to separate solar panels from flooring as far as in any way we're looking at it, whether we're going to put it to what percentage of an increase in taxes that would look like if we were paying for it that way. I look at one as a potential need and another one as a potential want. So I'm quite aware of within our community the income to cost of living challenges we have here, and also our concerns about attracting young families and keeping young families in the community. So I understand that requesting more information is something we should do before we make a decision. Personally, for me, it would make no difference whether it's said in the lease that the child care center was to pay for those capital improvements or the town. I think we all know that the means aren't there from the child care center to put up that kind of money. But I do agree with C.A. Romenko that we should follow the process that we would, even if it is or it isn't our responsibility, we should follow that process of getting the proper quotes and having a visit from our building inspector and going through that process. I don't know what that looks like in terms of emotion or direction, but those are my thoughts.
Councillor Campbell, may I speak? I would like to request, we've already asked staff to request some more information from the child care center concerning the solar panels. Could we do the same thing with the flooring and deal with both of those issues when they get that information back to us? And Councillor Youngberg, I have been in the building several times, so I certainly have been there many, many times to view it. But I just think for something of this amount that we need as much information as we can. And because there's a lot of issues here, and I totally agree that we need to invest in our kids and that type of thing. But I do not believe that the Suze Elementary School is overcrowded. I'm in there once a week doing one-to-one reading, and there are empty rooms. There are rooms that used to be classrooms that are used for other things now. So I don't think that really enters into it.
I'd like to make a comment as well.
Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Well, I'm a little taken back by the comments of Councillor Youngberg about us compromising childcare in our community. I don't get what the connection is. In my comments when I was leading up to the motion, I don't recall ever saying that we would never consider this or anything. It was simply a request for more information to put it off for a while. This town, myself and all the other councillors and mayor and staff and everything have worked tirelessly in our community to make things better for education in all aspects in our community. And when we work through the budget and stuff like that, and we make decisions like this, it's not because we're trying to compromise anything or anybody. We need to require, we need to make sound financial decisions, and that's all we're doing at this point. I mean, how this got around to a conversation about compromising education for our children, I'll never know. But anyway, I felt compelled to comment on that.
Okay, thank you. Councillor King.
Yeah, thank you. I guess if we did go forward and ask for more information, is it unusual to ask for their financials in that request also? If they went to grant and aid, they'd have to provide their financials?
And they have in the past, I believe.
Yeah, well, I just wonder, I don't know how often we get it. Obviously, they got a contract with us, so they provide them. I just want to know if that could be part of the package
It's a good idea.
if they're in really good standing with the province and their financials.
If that's the request, for requesting further information, that could be some of the information that you're
Well,
requesting
if
could
you
be
do
included.
But you guys also have a motion on the table.
Yeah, you have a motion on the table to support.
When you asked for, was it for more information?
No.
Oh, I'm
The
sorry.
support
Did
the
did
floor.
anybody
Oh, yeah,
second,
okay.
did anybody second that motion?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Do we want to deal with that motion
Oh,
first?
yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Could you read the motion, please?
So the motion is that council supports the flooring replacement request from the Osoyoos Child Care Center in the amount of $27,820 from reserve funds.
Okay. All in favor of the motion? Against?
I'm against.
I'm against, opposed.
I'm opposed. That's defeated.
Yeah.
Do we have a motion to request further information? Councillor King?
Yeah, I don't know how you'd word it, or something like you did for the airport one, to request more information. Direct staff to,
May I?
yeah, go ahead.
I think there's a few things we talked about. One of them was following our own process of getting a proper quote to have the flooring done. Go ahead.
Well, I
See
think
where
there
our
was,
agreement is, no?
yeah, I think it first of all is just setting the lay of the land relative to understanding what the town's obligations are, and then also taking a look. I think it's might be, and I don't know if all the members of council have been in the building. I think it's important that all the members of council maybe take a look at what the condition of the building is, and that if there is going to be another discussion on this matter, that at least there's first-hand information, and then we can take a look at bringing this back on the 20th.
So we'd be looking at our obligations, one. And
Obligations, and then talking about the additional quotes. Following our purchasing policies, that they would have to make a commitment to get at least two quotes. 27,000, I think.
It's just under the 30,000.
Just under the 30,000. So they just need two quotes, two written quotes.
That'd be a resolution you need for staff to,
Yeah, so they understand.
Do they
yeah.
have one,
The-
Jim?
Probably they have one.
One.
So they understand the level of
Yeah.
information that council needs.
Yep.
And then council can review this again.
I'll make that resolution.
And
I'll second that.
You gotta turn the air conditioner on.
Yeah, it's so warm in
It's
here.
hot in here.
It is hot.
Add it on.
Does this have to be done by the 14th?
Ideally, so that it can come back for council review on the 20th.
Mm-hmm.
You're making it very hard to wear this pride.
Take a while. Stay a while.
Okay, so
I
that's
don't know.
been,
I don't know how to write.
that's been moved and seconded. Do we want to read that back?
Shut it off.
All right, it's moving, it's
No, I'm
on.
shutting it off. This is not working.
It was just going up and down. There you are.
Yeah, but it's
I
heat.
just turned it on.
Just put it down to 65.
Okay, so that council direct administration to review the lease agreement with the Osoyoos Child Care Center, and also
Can
request
you
the
turn it
Child
on?
Care Center to follow the town's purchasing policy by obtaining another additional quote prior to February 14th, and that staff bring a report to council's next meeting.
Excellent.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion?
I'm in favor.
I'm in favor.
That's carried. Mr. Zackel?
Moving right along. Cactus Jalopies. This group made a request for funding for their bike jump event in 2017, requesting $5,500. This event has been supported by council in the past. So options before council: to fund the $5,500 from RMI funds designated for activity enhancement. Option 2, to use grant and aid funds to support the request. 3, to refer this request to Director of Community Services to be added through the request through the grant and aid program. Option 4, to increase taxes by 0.24% to offset the additional requirement of $5,500. Or option 5, to not support this funding request. As well, for additional information, we have $32,000 available through the RMI funding for this year under activity enhancement.
Thank you. Councillor King?
Yeah, thank you. In previous years, is that where we got the funds from, was the RMI funding?
Yes. Well, originally we got it from grant and aid funding. Once we had made a modification to our RMA program, then that's where we started to take it from.
Okay, good.
Anybody else?
Could I make a motion?
You may.
To fund the $5,500 from RMI funds designated for activity enhancement. I believe we've done that last year, and I would like to have that continue.
That's seconded by Councillor King.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion?
I'm in favor.
I'm in favor.
That's carried. Moving along, Mr. Zackel.
Okay, Osuyas Festival Society. This group has requested an additional $3,400 over and above their annual funding of $6,000 for the Canada 150 Day celebration. The $6,000 annual contribution has been paid through the Grant and Aid program and will continue to. Options before council: to fund the request of $3,400 from the RMI funds designated as activity enhancement. Option 2, to use grant and aid funds to support the addition funding request. Option 3, to refer this request to Director of Community Services to be added to the request through the grant and aid program. Option 4, to increase taxes by 0.15% to offset the additional requirement of $3,400. And option 5, to not support the funding request.
Thank you. Question. Do we know, I know a lot of this is funded throughout the community through donation. Do we know what percentage this is? What's the total cost? How much is coming from the community? Do we have any breakdown whatsoever?
No.
They have a budget. They present a budget.
Yeah, they present a budget at the grant and aid,
Right.
through the grant and aid project. But
I guess it would help to understand the amount, the $3,400 impacts all of this. It would be helpful to understand what the entire event costs.
Can I speak to that? Having been a member of the Festival Society for many
Please.
years, they definitely do have a budget for that, and I believe that would be presented at the grant and aid process. I'm assuming. Is that correct, Councillor King?
Yes, it is.
Do they present that?
Yes, they do.
But if we were to approve it through the RMI funds, for example, we wouldn't have that information. C.A. Romenko?
In their budget proposal, they identified that an additional $3,400 of expenses that they're facing would be the Canada Day Ambulance Service, $900, and decorations for the Canada Day celebrating $500, Canada Day Special Entertainment celebrating $150, $1,000, and upgrades to the float $1,000. So
That's helpful.
that's where the additional funds would be spent.
Councillor King?
I'd like to put a motion on the floor to fund the request of $3,400 from the RMI funds.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor of the motion?
I'm in favor.
I'm in favor.
Carried?
Okay. Desert Park Exhibition Society. This group made a presentation and request for $5,000 for funding to assist with their jousting event at Desert Park. So the options before council: to fund the request of $5,000 from RMI funds designated as activity enhancement. Option 2, to use grant and aid funds to support the additional funding request. Option 3, to refer this request to Director of Community Services to be added to the request for the grant and aid program. Option 4, to increase taxes by 0.21% to offset the additional requirement of $5,000. And option number 5, to not support the funding request.
Thank you. I'm just trying to do some math in my head here. So what did you say was left in the RMI?
We had 32,000.
Before we started this?
Yeah, we've got enough funding in the RMI program.
So it was 32,
So far,
and we've just done 8,900, correct?
basically 8,900 is what we've done.
Okay, thank you. Anybody like to speak to this? Councillor King?
Yeah, my understanding, it was a great event last year, and the town did support this initiative to, I believe, about half the cost. So I would be in favor of the $5,000 from the RMI funding. They seem to be way ahead of last year. They got more volunteers involved. They're talking about bringing a little bit more events, more tents, making it bigger and better. They did have 1,200 attendance last year over 2 days, and that was a gate, so that should be a factual number, and I believe the number would be bigger this year.
Do we know what percentage of the cost this covers?
They identify their expenditures being $52,000, and then they show revenues of $49,000. But in their list of expenditures, certainly there are eligible expenses like the Society of Tilt and Lance Cavalry cost $10,000, and the tent rentals and musicians. Webcasting, or website design, all those things. So there are legitimate costs that are attached to that.
Thank you.
Did you make that motion?
I'll make a motion, $5,000 from the RMI funds designated to the Desert Park Exhibition Society.
And I'll second.
Any discussion?
Just a question about the motion.
Go ahead.
So there's a motion that I didn't quite hear what the motion said. Is it designated for the jousting event, or are we just giving it to the society?
I think there was a little addition on the end. I'm not sure if it was intentional, where you had stated that the funds are going directly to the society, which wasn't in the wording of the original option. Is that what you meant?
Well, it says
No,
designated as activity enhancement
For the jousting.
is what.
It's for that particular weekend then?
Yes,
Is it
definitely
made
for
a
that
long
weekend, yes.
Yeah, to support the jousting event.
Yeah, to support the jousting event,
Wasn't
yes.
that the application?
So to fund the
Is
request.
that working in the motion?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
The motion,
Can we read it back?
the motion reads that council fund the request of $5,000 from the Desert Park Exhibition Society to assist with the jousting event at Desert Park from the Resort Municipality Initiative Fund designated for activity enhancement.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's great.
I'll listen more carefully from now on.
It was a bit confusing. All in favor of the motion?
I'm in. I'm fine. Yep, good.
I'm in favor.
That's carried.
Okay, so we've got the Osiris Elementary School. A group from PAC made a presentation to council requesting $5,000 to assist with the development of a new playground in the lower field of the elementary school. So options before council: to use grant and aid funds to support this request. Option 2, to refer this request to the Director of Community Services to be added to the request through the grant and aid program. To use reserves to fund this request is option 3. Option 4, to increase taxes by 0.21% to offset the additional requirement of $5,000, or option 5, to not support the funding request.
Thank you. $5,000 is a small number when we're talking about playground equipment. Is this a small portion of it? Is there grant money involved?
Yeah,
I believe they've requested and got funding for quite a lot of this playground. They sent pictures to us about what the playground would look like. It's sort of a nature playground.
Right, it's a nature.
And I think this is just sort of the last piece of the total funding that's needed,
Yeah,
is the way it was explained.
I'm assuming it's a very small portion of it, just having done research on the cost of playground equipment in the past.
Yes.
Yeah, they've been saying in here that they've been actively fundraising for the past 2 years for the project, and it's now in their final stages of securing funding for the playground to develop. So,
Thank you.
And if I could just make a comment, Soyuz Rotary Club is donating $15,000 to this project, and they're also writing a grant for $10,000. But I do know this 5 would pretty well guarantee the project completion. because they have also raised some of their own funds also through the PAC group.
Right.
But I don't know the exact cost, but it's a nature playground. It'd be kind of unique to the town. There isn't any other one like that.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I'd like to make a motion if I could.
Please. Go ahead, Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you. To grant the request of $5,000, and I'd like to designate reserves as the source of the funding.
Do I have a seconder?
Where's that?
From reserve funds.
From reserve? I'll second that.
Okay, Councillor King is seconded. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion?
I'm in favor.
I'm in favor.
That's carried. Mr. Zackel?
Okay. So the next presenter was Cy Marcelli. Request was made to reduce staff at Planning and Development Services and hire a full-time engineer. In Mr. Marcelli's letter to council, it was stated that the Planning and Development Department had 3 full-time planners, which was inaccurate. The current staff level in this department includes Director of Planning and Development Services, Senior Building Inspector, Senior Planner, and Development Services Secretary. With respect to hiring an engineer, there are a number of positions required when looking into having an engineer department, and most municipalities find it far more cost-effective to hire out their engineering services. So options for council: option 1, to maintain staff and service levels; option 2, to reduce staff and service levels; option 3, to consider increasing staff and operational costs for the Planning and Development Services Department to support an engineering department.
Thank you. Anybody like to speak to this?
Yes, I would.
Please.
I believe that Mr. Marcelli also sent this letter as a letter to the editor in the previous times, and I believe that CAO Romanco sent a letter, I'm assuming it may go in the paper this week, which addressed all of the issues that Mr. Marcelli was concerned about. So I do feel that that the town understands that why we have the people in there, and that that we are not about to reduce staff. I don't believe it's necessary. So I would suggest that the option would be to maintain staff and service levels.
Anybody?
Second, though.
Councillor King? Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion?
I'm in favor.
I'm in favor.
Okay, that's carried.
Okay, so the last funding request was Music in the Park. This group came forward after the meeting and requested $8,000 to $10,000 to be able to put on the 2018 Music in the Park. Council supported this group over the last 2 years with funding coming out of the RMI funding for activity enhancement. So options before council: option 1, to fund this request of $8,000 from RMI funds designated as activity enhancement; option 2, to fund the request of $10,000 from RMI funds designated as activity enhancement; option 3, use grant and aid funds to support the additional funding request; option 4, to refer this request to the Director of Community Services to be added through the grant and aid program; option 5 or 6, to increase taxes; or option 7, to not support this funding request.
Thank you. If I can just speak to it for a moment, this Music in the Park, again, community volunteers spending a lot of time and their own time in putting this together, and it seems to me that it's been more successful each year it's gone on. We're also seeing offshoots of it now, where certain members of that are booking bands in town. I'm a huge proponent of the arts out in the community, especially outdoors, and I think it's a huge enhancement to our residents and to our visitors. So yeah. Councillor King?
Yeah. Mr. Zackel, can you refresh my memory on how much we gave them last year, roughly speaking?
I think we gave them funding for this year in the amount of $8,000, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it was.
It was 6, and we
I think
upped it.
I think it was 85, wasn't it? Can Mr. Zackel check?
We gave them $8,000 in November.
Oh, okay.
That's
Right.
to,
We just did it a
217.
couple
That's-
of months ago.
Now we're
didn't
talking
we?
218.
yeah.
That's right. Councillor Youngberg?
I just ask why they're asking for funding for 2018?
Because they set up, they require the money in 217, allows them to book their events,
Leave deposits.
the deposits in 2017, so they can have the acts in 2018.
So they book them a year in advance?
They booked them, significantly ahead of
So I'm
time.
just reading her report.
Yeah.
Just doesn't really say that, but anyways, okay.
I'd like to make a motion if I could.
Yep. Go ahead.
And I need a bit of help with this one, but I'm quite comfortable at the funding request at $10,000, but I'm a little torn about where the source of that funding should come from, and I'm wondering if there could be some discussion about it.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think that when we're enhancing visitor experience, which I think this absolutely does, against the most amazing backdrop that we promote in our community, I personally think it should fall under RMI.
I support that.
Anybody else?
I would second that. I would like it to come out of RMI as well.
Did you
Yeah, I'll make that part of my motion then, $10,000 from RMI funding.
We would
Do we have?
we would be utilizing our existing RMI funding to cover this.
Yeah,
So,
Correct.
yeah.
Is there a seconder for the motion?
sure.
Oh, Mayor McCordoff seconded. Okay, so
I'll second that. Mhm.
so the motion is to fund the request of $10,000 from the RMI funds designated as activity enhancement. All in favor of the motion?
I'm in favor.
I'm in favor.
Yep.
Okay, that's carried.
Yep.
We got through that.
That was it. Thank you.
Okay, moving to business 4.
I thought I was business 10 already.
Nope, it feels like it. This is the RDOS 2017 budget information, a report from Director of Financial Services, Mr. Zackel.
Thank you. So each year, the staff from the Regional District of Okanagan-Similkameen present council with their current year budget. This year, the RDOS is dealing a staff changeover and are unable to present the budget information to council, but have asked the town staff to bring the information forward. Sandy Croteau has provided a summary to the RDOS 2017 budget for the RDOS and Hospital District. An average single-family resident will pay $152, which is $4 more for the RDOS requisition, and $96, which is $3 more for hospital taxes. Implications under the community. The RDOS, as part of their public consultation process, is bringing forward the 2017 budget information for council with respect to the 2017 RDOS taxes and regional hospital taxes. Organizationally, no changes. Budget, no changes. Significant dates. RDOS needs to adopt their budget by March 31st, 2017. If council wishes to provide feedback to the RDOS board or has questions of the RDOS, they are to contact Sandy Croteau before February 17th. Under sustainabilities, nothing to report. So the options before council to receive the RDOS 2017 budget comparative requisition for information. Option 2 for council to provide feedback to the RDOS board and RDOS 2017 budget comparative requisition, and option 3 for information and discussion. So I'll just read the memo from Sandy. It says, due to a staffing vacancy, the RDOS will be unable to appear before council to provide an update on the implications of the 2017 RDOS budget for your municipality. Via this memo, I will detail out the RDOS budget highlights and the impacts of the budget on the tax requisition for your municipality. I'll also provide information on the impacts of the 2017 Okanagan-Similkameen Regional Hospital District budget. As of January 5th, 2017, RDOS board meeting, the board gave first reading to the 2017 to 2021 5-year financial plan budget. As of January 19th, 2017, the hospital board meeting, the board gave first reading to the 2017 to 2021 5-year plan budget for the hospital district. First reading of the budget bylaw provides us with the draft budget documents to begin our public consultation process. The budget is not final and subject to change until the board provides third reading and adoption. By legislation, the board must adopt the budget by March 31st. Unlike a municipality, the regional district does not have just one budget. The regional district runs separate budgets for every service they provide. As such, we have over 150 budgets for 2017. Having separate budgets for every service ensures that only the jurisdictions that participate in a service pay for that service. The entire budget documents as they appeared at first reading can be found on our website at www.rdus.bc.ca under Popular Links banner. The major budget impacts for your municipality are as follows. 9/11 Emergency Call Service. The 9/11 System Upgrade Project completed in 2016 and cost $1.64 million and was financed through debt. The financing for this project will move into long-term debt in the spring of 2017. The debt servicing costs beginning in 2017 are increasing your requisition by approximately $10,000 or $10,900. Under Heritage, which is sub-regional, Heritage is a new service that began in 2017. The budget collects approximately $17,500 from the service participants. The addition of this new service increased by requisition is approximately $1,525. Transit, South Okanagan. Transit is a new service that begins in 2017. The budget collects approximately $62,000 from the service participants. The addition of this new service increases your requisition by approximately $16,000. This is what was financed under the town's budget before. Hospital, in 2014, the hospital board approved a plan to increase the impact on the average residential property in the region by $5 annually until 2018. The purpose of the increase was to build reserve funds for the Penticton Regional Hospital Patient Care Tower project. The 2017 budget reflects this plan and has the average residential home in the region overall valued at $342,000, contributing $106, which was $101 in 2016. It is estimated that a total $117 million required for the patient care tower. Approximately half will be funded from reserves and the remainder will be financed through debt. The current estimated completion date for the project is 2020. Attached is a summary of preliminary RDWS tax requisition. The attachment details out each service you participate in and shows the requisition amount for each service. This requisition is based on the 2017 completed assessment data and will be updated with the revised roll data prior to final reading of the budget in March. The numbers provided in the attached document differ from the numbers that appear on our website. The documents on the website are the budget at first reading. At first reading, the budgets were based on the 2016 revised assessment data, and we did not have the 2000 completed roll assessment data at that time. And the table below shows or summarizes the impacts of the RDOS and hospital budgets for the municipality. So as you'll see, the impact on average residential property is increasing by $4 for the RDOS and increasing by $3 for the hospital. Sandy also goes on to say, if you have any questions or require any further information or wish to provide the RDOS board with any feedback on the budgets, please contact them via email at scroteau@rdos.bc.ca before February 17, 2017.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Could I just comment that Sandy Croteau has resigned in September from the board and has moved to Ontario, but she was hired to do budget for this year because it was quite sudden, her retirement. So that's why she's doing this, and she actually has dealt with us a couple of times at the regional district, and she does it via phone. So that's why she's not coming out to our meetings to give us an update. This is it instead. Okay. So I feel comfortable with what was suggested here.
Okay, so we've got a few options here of receiving this for information and discussion, or to receive the budget cooperative requisition for information, or to provide feedback. Anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor Rhodes.
To receive the RDOS 2017 budget comparative requisition for information.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion?
I'm in favor.
I'm in favor.
Jim?
Yeah, sorry.
That's carried. Moving to business 5, pre-budget approval to purchase Impeller Housing Assembly for street sweeper. Report from Director of Operational Services, Director Dinwiddie.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. The impeller housing is the actual structure which contains the street sweeper's fan unit. The integrity of this compartment is imperative in order for the street sweeper to create the vacuum necessary for the machine to pick up road debris. The existing impeller housing has been compromised over the past 12 years of service and therefore requires replacement. In order to repair the town's only street sweeper during the winter months when it's not being used, the Operational Services Department would like to order the necessary replacement parts and schedule this work to take place in February of this year. Implications for the community are that the town's only street sweeper will be repaired and operational by the spring of 2017. Organizationally, the Operational Services Department street sweeper will be repaired, like I said, during the winter months when the unit is not required. Budget-wise, during the December 16th, 2016 Town Council meeting, Town Council approved $25,000 in funds to complete this project. At significant dates, in order for this reparative process to begin, Operational Services Department would like to order the necessary replacement parts as soon as possible. And for sustainability, the repaired Elgin street sweeper will more effectively pick up road debris, resulting in fewer passes having to be made to clean the streets, hopefully saving some fuel and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. The options before Council are the Town Council grants approval to the Operational Services Department to order the replacement impeller housing assembly for the Elgin Crosswind street sweeper. Option number 2 is that Council does not grant approval to the Operational Services Department to order the replacement impeller housing assembly for the Elgin Crosswind street sweeper. Or option number 3 is that Council requests additional information prior to making a decision. Staff recommends that Council adopt option number 1.
Thank you. Councillor King.
Thank you. I'll recommend number 1. Town Council grants approval of the Operational Service Department to order the replacement impeller housing assembly for the Elgin Crosswind street sweeper.
Councillor Rose, did you want to speak?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Acting Mayor, something in addition to the impeller housing and a multi-purpose truck, which will be coming up next. Both of those in our budget were proposed to be financed through MFA. Right. So I would suggest, if it is approved, that Council authorize the financing through MFA as well.
So that would have to read into that motion.
Yes.
Just add that on to the motion?
Yes, please.
Councillor Rhodes, are you okay with that?
I'm okay with that, yeah.
Okay.
And that's consistent with what we presented to Council in our budget package as well.
Perfect. So that'll be the same for the next item as well.
Exactly.
Thank you. All in favor of the motion?
I'm in favor.
In favor.
That's carried. Moving to business 6, pre-budget approval to purchase 2-ton multi-purpose truck. Report from Director of Operational Services, Director Dinwiddie.
Thank you again, Councillor Campbell. The Operational Services Department would like to replace the existing 9-year-old 2-ton dump truck with a new equivalent model. The existing vehicle has numerous mechanical issues which will require a substantial amount of repair work if the unit is not replaced in 2017. The Operational Services Department utilizes this unit as a general utility vehicle, performing a variety of tasks including garbage collection, material hauling, and snow plowing. In order to have a new vehicle in service by the summer of 2017, proposals to replace the existing 2-ton truck should be made available to the public to bid on early in February of this year. Implications for the community are increased service efficiency as a result of using a newer, more reliable vehicle. Organizationally, the Operational Services Department will be better able to serve the community with a more reliable multi-purpose vehicle. Budget-wise, during the December 16th, 2016 Town Council meeting, Town Council did approve $130,000 in funds to complete this project. Once again, significant dates are in order to begin the purchase process. We would like to be able to order this necessary replacement unit as soon as possible. And for sustainability, the new replacement vehicle will meet more stringent emission control standards, thus saving fuel and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. So the options before Town Council are that Town Council grants approval to the Operational Services Department to initiate the purchase process to replace the existing 2-ton truck with an equivalent newer model. Option number 2 is that Town Council does not grant approval to the Operational Services Department to initiate the purchase process to replace the existing 2-ton truck with a equivalent newer model. Option number 3 is that Town Council requests additional information prior to making a decision. Administration recommends that Council adopt option number 1.
Thank you.
I'll move option 1.
Thank you. Councillor
I'll second that. But could I ask, does this depend on MFI funding as well, or MFA financing?
It does, so that verbiage should be added to the motion.
Yes.
Councillor Rhodes, you're okay with adding that verbiage?
Yes, of course. Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, I am too.
Councillor King?
Mr. Dunwoody, could you just explain to me, a 2-ton truck up to 130,000 seems a little excessive to me. Is this a special type of truck?
It is a very special truck. It's a very specialized, customized vehicle. It'll have a dump box, it'll have a sander, it'll have a plow feature. It also, we're going to do is take the existing 2-ton, we have a 2-ton crane on the existing truck, and we'll take that off and put it on the new truck. So it's a very multi-purpose kind of vehicle. So it has a crane, it has a dump box, it has a sander, and has a plow.
And you mentioned this might not be a 217 model?
Well, we're hoping that it's a new model, but you can get maybe a new 216 that hasn't been sold yet. So
thank you.
It's a very specific truck. The spec is actually quite long.
One of the differences is the 15-inch subwoofers they've added to it.
Yeah, no leather seats, and yeah.
Does it come with snow tires or not?
Yeah, well, it does come with snow tires.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion?
Yeah, I put my hand up already.
People on the phone?
I'm okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
I'm in agreement.
I'm in favor.
That's carried. Thank you.
I'm trying to be polite and let the mayor vote first.
All right.
No, you go right ahead.
Well, now we're getting so
Please,
polite.
after you. Moving to business 7, pre-budget approval, water distribution extension and looping. Report from Director of Operational Services.
Thank you again. The purpose of this project is to provide access to the town's domestic water system for 4 unserviced lots, provide fire protection to the Lakeshore Drive Highway 3 intersection area, eliminate a dead-end water main on Bayview Crescent, and provide looping for the water distribution system. Looping of a water distribution system improves water quality by ensuring fresh water is always being supplied to the area. As a result of this proposed water main extension and looping project, a section of the roadway will be excavated for the installation of the 150 millimeter or 6-inch water main. Once this work has been completed, it is suggested that not only the area where the water line installation be repaved, but that the entire roadway from Lakeshore Drive receive a 50 millimeter asphalt overlay between Highway 3 and 56th Avenue. So this project basically consists of installing a total of 370 meters of 150 millimeter water main, 220 meters on Lakeshore Drive connecting to the existing water main at 56th Avenue and an existing dead-end main on Bayview Crescent, and 150 meters on Highway 3 Frontage Road connecting to the existing 250 millimeter water main on 51st Street. As well, a 50 millimeter asphalt overlay of Lakeshore Drive between Highway 3 and 56th Avenue will be incorporated into this project, and you can refer to the report attached from True Consulting for more detailed costing information. Implications for the community: enhanced water quality and fire protection capability on the Lakeshore Drive Highway 3 area. Organizationally, it's the elimination of a water dead-end main on Bayview Crescent, resulting in less water main flushing in the area. Budget-wise, during the December 16, 2016 Town Council meeting, Town Council approved in total $290,000 in funds to complete this project. That's the water main replacement and the asphalt overlay. Significant dates: in order to take advantage of more competitive pricing and have this project completed prior to the May long weekend, Operational Services would like to tender this project as soon as possible. And with regards to sustainability, less water flushing in the Lakeshore Drive area. The additional water main flushing was necessary to ensure that water trapped in the Bayview Crescent dead end was refreshed and meeting established town domestic water quality standards. We won't have to do that anymore once we loop the water line. Options for Town Council is that Town Council grants approval to the Operational Services Department to tender this water distribution extension and looping project. Option number 2 is that Town Council does not grant approval to the Operational Services Department to tender this water distribution extension and looping project. Option number 3 is that Town Council requests additional information prior to making a decision. Recommendation from the staff is that Town Council adopt option number 1.
Thank you. Any questions, discussion?
I'll move option number 1.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Councillor King seconded. Any, would you like to speak to that, anybody? Okay. All in favor of the motion?
I'm in favor.
I'm in favor.
That's carried. The reason he's not hot is he didn't get the sweater day memo, like the rest of us.
It's
I'm in
hot in
still
here.
summer mode.
It's
Oh, we
hot
got
in
it turned
here.
down to 64 degrees.
No way.
I don't even want to think
I don't
about
even
what
know what,
CJ's wearing. So.
Probably does.
Okay.
Unless there's an
Moving-
air conditioner.
Maybe you can flip it on and off, like make it wave.
Moving to Business 8, SRW application for water supply main. Once again,
There's no-
Director Dinwiddie.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. This project has the objective of upgrading the distribution system capacity between east and west of Soyuz and to provide redundancy. Twin 300-millimeter water mains are proposed to be installed between Gyro Park and the Holiday Inn. One of the mains will be connected to the existing 300-millimeter main and will serve as a distribution main paralleling the existing 250-millimeter main on the Highway Number 3 bridge. The second 300-millimeter main would in the future serve as a raw water supply between wells 4 and 5 and the proposed water treatment plant to be located at the Jack Shaw Gardens. The province of British Columbia has requested that Town Council endorse the submission of the statutory right-of-way application. This has a front counter BC application tracking number of 100191087 relating to the construction of the above noted water mains between Gyro Park and the Holiday Inn under Osoyoos Lake. And you can refer to the report from True Consulting for more design information. The implication for the community are improved reliability of water supply between east and west of Soyuz, organizationally upgrade of the distribution system capacity and the creation of system redundancy, which is important in order to maintain that water supply between east and west of Soyuz. During the December 16, 2016 Town Council budget meeting, Town Council did approve $305,000 in funds to complete this project. In order to proceed with this project in a timely manner and receive a statutory right-of-way from the province, it is important the Town Council endorse this request as soon as possible. Sustainability, improved water reliability for water supply between east and west and Soyuz. So the options for Town Council are to endorse the submission of the statutory right-of-way application relating to the construction of two 300-millimeter water mains under Osoyoos Lake between Gyro Park and the Holiday Inn. Option number 2 is that Town Council does not endorse the submission of the SRW application relating to the construction of the two 300-millimeter water mains under Osoyoos Lake between Gyro Park and Holiday Inn. Option number 3 is that Town Council requests additional information prior to making a decision. Administration recommends that Town Council adopt option number 1.
Thank you. And I just want to make a note here to the public. You're hearing about some significant projects with very little discussion. And I just want to point out that these projects were discussed with great detail during the budget process late 2016.
Yeah.
Councillor King?
Question. Yeah, Mr. Dinwiddie, do you know a time frame if this project got started here shortly? What would it be over before summer? Or would it impact the traffic on the bridge?
No, because what they're going to do is directional drill underneath the lake. So
Okay.
they'll be drilling the pipes. They're about 4 to 5 meters beneath the bottom of the lake.
Okay.
So they would drill from either side of the lake.
And that would
go
have no
underneath.
impact of boats going over top of it?
Nope.
Might impact the jumpers. That's about it.
Well, they jump, okay, well, they jump on the other side anyhow.
Yeah, they jump on the other side. So no, it wouldn't impact transportation on the lake or
Okay,
anything like
just
that.
had to ask.
No, it's underneath the lake.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll move option 1.
Thank you. Seconder?
I'll second
I'll
it.
second it.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor of the motion?
I'm in favor.
Yeah.
I'm in favor as well.
That's carried. Are you off the hook now? Is that it for you?
It's more or less, but there's something else coming up. So.
Moving to Business 9, Water and Sewer Service Request to enter town boundary, 5221 Lakeshore Drive. Report by Sierra Romanco.
Thank you. On June 6, 2016, Council denied a request for water and sewer service to 5221 Lakeshore Drive by passing the following motion. Moved by Councillor Campo, second by Councillor Youngberg, that Council not approve Mr. Dollarwall's request to have Town of Vesuvius provide his property at 5221 Lakeshore Drive with water and sewer services. At the time of this request for service, the property owner expressed no interest in entering the town boundary as a condition of receiving the requested service. Attached, please find another request for water and sewer services to this property in an expression of interest to enter town boundaries as a condition to receive service. The property owner was unsuccessful in seeking out water on the property, therefore not able to continue with development plans due to lack of servicing. The June 6th report to Council outlines the immediate and long-term development plans of this property. The town services are able to handle the short and long-term servicing needs of this property. The request to enter the town will require an application to the province for boundary extension. In discussion with provincial representatives, there was confirmation that any boundary extension is looked upon more favorably if the affected party is in agreement with the extension. However, they are less supportive of individual parcel requests. A boundary extension involves significant resources at the provincial and municipal levels, so the province is always looking for larger strategic extensions. In terms of implications to the community, approval of servicing and a boundary extension would increase the town's assessment based on a short and long-term plans of this owner. Organizationally, a significant amount of staff time will be needed to complete the boundary expansion, however the project is doable. Budget, a minor amount of funds will be required to develop a contract agreement ensuring that the property owner agrees to the boundary expansion if the services are provided and the province approves. Significant dates, if approved, we would start on this project immediately. Sustainability, servicing this property with town services is a positive for lake water quality. The sewer from the wine shop and the accommodation will be captured in our system versus infiltrating through a sewer field. In terms of options, option 1, deny the request for service and request to enter the town boundary. 2, approve the request for servicing the 5221 Lakeshore Drive property subject to the landowner agreeing to enter the boundary and the province approving the boundary extension. Option 4, approve making a submission to the provincial government to expand the town boundary to include Lot 10A, planned KAP 1958 Land District Similkameen Division of Yale District 1, Lot 100, except Plan H95, and also identified as civic address 5221 Lakeshore Drive. And option 4, request additional information prior to making a decision. The administration recommends options 2 and 3. Addition of this property will enhance town assessment and assist in lake water quality control.
Councillor King.
Does it have any impact on its designation for zoning? Does it stay agriculture if this goes through, or does it change to a different type of zoning?
Well, it's still an ALR, and it would still stay agricultural. But again, the zoning would also it would be agricultural land with capturing all the intended uses, i.e., wine shops and accommodation.
Right. So
I have a question.
We would get a small increase in tax base if he comes into the town?
Yeah, we would get, we haven't worked, we'd have to take a look at exactly what the improvements are, but certainly there would be a tax increase to the town.
Councillor Rhodes?
Thank you. I think Mr. Romanko answered my question already, but it was previously farmland, but now there will be a commercial aspect to it. I'm wondering if taxation would be like dual taxation, one part for the farm and the other for the commercial aspect of it.
I'm not sure of the tax implications as a whole. The land still remains in the agricultural land reserve, and then how we go about or how it's assessed. It's still assessed under the BC assessment, so if you put up $1 million wine building, it's still assessed at $1 million of assessment.
And
I'm trying to determine the tax impact or the benefit, the tax benefit to the town, and it's a little hard to do at this point, I guess, until all those improvements are.
Yeah, because we haven't looked at all the, again, it's a phased development, which would start with a wine shop, and then the accommodations is planned for a future development. And we haven't looked at anything relative to any business plans or any building plans for it.
what's the cost of the town to connect them, or does he pay that?
He would pay to connect to our water or sewer system, yeah.
Yeah, the water and sewer lines run right by the
there.
property.
They're on Lakeshore Drive.
And then they hook on to they just have to hook on to our property.
DC charges. So I guess as he's moving ahead, I don't know how long it take him, if we pass this to come into the town, then would he have to apply to us for permits instead of the RDOS right now?
I haven't looked at all the steps that, because right now he is building a commercial building.
Exactly.
On the highway, so that's been approved by the regional district. So I don't know what phase of planning his wine shop is, but they did want to be open in 2017.
No,
So
I respect this going forward. It's just kind of interesting. He's using the guidelines of the RDOS, and when it's finished, it impacts us. And I look at the site next to the Husky as an example.
Yeah.
And also,
My sense is that he would be building a fairly attractive
I'm sure he
building.
would.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to distract. I like the idea. It's just there is an impact to the town after the fact.
Yeah.
yeah, just another comment too, he's able to build agritourism, tourism-related properties, which he'll need sewer extensions for as well, if he makes that application.
Well,
Right?
we would not take his commercial sewer. We would not take wine. If he's,
How would he supply?
he'd have to be captured in a sewer field.
Yeah, he's
And-
claiming that the only sewer he wants is for the facilities in the wine shop. So that's all he wants to hook up the sewer for. He is not hooking up the winery to our storm sewer, to our sanitary source.
So further expansion down the road, how would you handle that?
Well, his plan was in the next 4 to 5 years of maybe building some sort of vacation villas.
Yeah.
So the villas would once again be some sort of like a townhousey kind of complex sort of thing. So once again, it's just
Many of the wineries have already done
Yeah,
that.
it's just kind of residential housing. So once again, that's just another residential connection, if you will. So that we can handle. What we can't handle in our sanitary system is the byproducts from wine production. That doesn't go well in our lagoons. But he wouldn't be allowed to put that in.
It's just kind of interesting. If you open a winery, usually you're going to make some of the wine on your own property.
You would think,
So
yeah.
I would kind of contradict what he's telling
Well, he
you.
does have a septic field. So like the septic field
And
for
then
the...
that runs back into the lake.
Well, the septic field is kind of at the other end of the property, so still it
Water runs downhill.
It does run downhill.
Doesn't matter how
yeah.
far up you put
Yeah.
it.
I have a comment, and that's appropriate.
Go ahead.
I feel quite comfortable making a motion based on the recommendation in options 2 and 3.
Okay, is there a seconder? I'll second that. Any further discussion? Nope. All in favor of, do you want two separate motions, or?
I would like, yes, two separate motions.
Okay.
One to approve the request for servicing, and agreeing to enter based on him agreeing to enter the town boundary and the province approving it.
Okay.
And then I will probably need a separate motion to the province that council is.
So Councillor Rhodes, we'll start with option 2. Councillor Rhodes? Yep.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm seconding that. All in favor of the motion?
I'm in favor.
Okay,
In favor.
that's carried. Looking for a second motion? Councillor King?
I'll make the motion number 3, approve making a submission to the provincial government.
Seconder?
Me.
Councillor Youngberg? Any discussion? All in favor of option number 3?
I'm in favor.
In favor.
That is carried. Moving to business 10. So I noticed the last few council meetings have been like 45 minutes long, and Mayor McCordoff's not here for the 15-page agenda.
No overtime.
No overtime. All right. Business 10, Lakeshore Drive boundary extension. Report from CAO Romanco.
Okay, just a few minutes ago, Council discussed a boundary extension to accommodate the servicing of 5221 Lakeshore Drive. This report is being presented based on the assumption that Council has made a decision to proceed with a boundary extension application for 5221 Lakeshore Drive. The attached map illustrates 5221 Lakeshore Drive in green and the 2 remaining regional district properties in yellow and blue. These 3 properties are flanked by properties within the town boundary, causing a non-contiguous town boundary along Lakeshore Drive. If Council has made a decision to request that 5221 Lakeshore be included in the town boundary, this would be a good time to seek out an interest of the adjoining properties coming into the town boundary. The province may look more favorably on a boundary extension that seeks to develop a contiguous town boundary on Lakeshore Drive. If there is support for inclusion in town council, can direct staff to make a boundary extension for all 3 properties. If the property owners refuse, staff can reconnect with provincial staff to discuss the merits of an application based on the town's direction to have a contiguous boundary on Lakeshore Drive. In terms of implications, the committee would benefit from increased assessment and a contiguous boundary. Organizationally, staff time would be needed to pursue owner interest, bring the information back to council for direction, and perhaps complete a boundary extension proposal. Budget, no real budget implications. Significant dates, staff will be acting on this as a priority. In terms of options, 1, council expresses by resolution no interest in seeking a contiguous boundary on Lakeshore Drive by bringing in these 2 additional properties. 2, council directs staff to communicate with property owners of Lot 1 Plan KAP 36420 Land District, Similkameen Division of Yale District Lot 43, 100, and Lot 2 Plan KAP 36420 Land District, Similkameen Division of Yale District Lot 100 to determine the owner's interest in coming into the town boundaries. 3, council requests additional information prior to making a decision. Recommendation, the administration recommends option number 2. Given the resources that are needed to be expended for a boundary expansion, the town needs to try and incorporate as many parcels as possible in one application.
Thank you. I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me, but Councillor Youngberg?
Yeah, I'll make the motion that council direct staff to communicate with property owners Lot 1 and Lot 2, respective KAP 36420, to determine the owner's interest in coming into the town boundaries.
Thank you. Councillor King is seconding that motion?
Yeah, I'll second that. Then I have a question.
Yep, go ahead.
In your opinion, Mr. Romanco, if they chose not to come in, I presume you still go forward with the application for the 1 property?
Well, if they don't want to come in, I would still pressure the provincial government to make a decision to bring them in,
okay,
so that council could have a contiguous boundary.
Okay. That's good.
And if the province chooses not to, follow that request, then obviously we just go with the 1 property.
Okay.
Councillor Youngberg?
Have you researched the owners of these 2 properties?
Yes.
Are they the same, related to that
Yes.
family that's doing the winery?
No.
Not?
No.
Okay.
It says on here it's the Hurleys.
Yeah, I know, but I had heard they were bought out by the people.
Oh,
next door.
well, we just took stuff off of the regional districts.
By the neighbor ready to expand.
I had heard that they've
Oh, is that right?
taken over.
Rumor.
But rumor, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, it would be a lot easier dealing with 1 party.
That would be.
Oh, well, for sure, and I just thought that may be the reason for
Yeah.
some information.
Yeah.
Any further discussion?
Interesting.
Okay, we have a motion on the table. All in favor?
I'm in favor.
I'm in favor.
Okay, that's carried. Business 11, Desert Park Exhibition Society sponsorship. Report from CAO Remenko.
Thank you. Council recently approved a 5-year lease for a portion of Desert Park facility with the society, being the Desert Park Exhibition Society. Council also heard of a complaint about noise from the truck that was used by the society to water the track. The society wishes to make a $10,000 grant application to the South Okanagan Community Foundation to assist with required a truck to operate on site. In order to receive funds directly from the foundation, the society must also be a registered charity. The society is not a registered federal charity. The foundation will allow a municipality, who is a registered charity, which we are, to receive funds for the society, provided the municipality agrees to the terms and conditions of being a sponsoring agent. As per the attached agreement, the sponsoring agent takes on all responsibility for receiving the funds and ensuring that the project is completed. In fact, the sponsoring agent takes on the financial and legal liability of the society completing the project and ensuring that the funds are expended appropriately. In the past, the municipality has received funds from the foundation and provided these funds to persons or organizations identified by the foundation. However, the town has not acted as a sponsoring agent and incurred the financial liability for the project. Taking on liability requires the town to include the project in its financial plans or budgets as per Article 1745 of the Community Charter. And that reads, except for borrowing under Section 177, a municipality must not incur a liability for which expenditures are required during the planning period for its financial plan unless those expenditures are included in the applicable year of the financial plan. The community benefits from volunteer groups seeking out grant funds to improve their quality of service to the community. The municipality often assists with these grant search endeavors due to the benefits provided to the community. However, volunteer groups need to ensure that their own legal and financial responsibilities to carry out projects. Volunteer groups need to meet all the criteria of the funding source and accept their own liabilities. Organizationally, staff time would be needed to complete the needed paperwork before, during, and after the project. Due to the fact that the town would be accepting liability, the town would have to place this project in the 2017 budget to meet the community charter obligations. Mentioned the budget implications, significant dates. The deadline for grant application is on February 10th. Options. Council passes a motion accepting the terms and conditions of the sponsoring agent and directs the CAO to complete the needed application. 2, Council passes a motion not to approve becoming a sponsoring agent for the society. In terms of the recommendation, the CAO recommends option number 2. Although the society is a mature organization and completion of the project, if approved, shouldn't be a problem, Council must be aware of the legal issues of taking on liability for nonprofit organizations. In the past, Council has provided support through mechanisms such as letters of support. Letters of support don't place the municipality in a position of liability for the project completion or the actions of the society. The attached information from the foundation states, in exceptional cases, a grant may be made to an agency acting as a sponsor for an organization that is not a registered but wishes to carry out a charitable activity. Given the nature of this project being considered, I am of the opinion that it would not qualify as a charitable activity. Therefore, the situation doesn't enable the town to act as a sponsoring agent.
Thank you. I mean, I've made no secrets in the past about how I feel about exemptions and setting new precedent, and when you open up a door, and I certainly think this is opening up a door where societies that aren't registered nonprofits will think to utilize the town to be able to acquire funds for projects. I don't think that that's a part the town should play. So I guess I'm speaking against the request.
Councillor Campbell, may I speak to this?
Please.
I agree with the CAO's recommendation, and I would like to move option 2 but I would like to include that the municipality write a letter of support for the society for them to complete the application. That we don't do it as a sponsoring agency, but we give them a letter of support.
I would support that.
I wouldn't, yeah, I don't have any issue with that. So is there a seconder for that motion?
I'd second it.
Councillor King?
They don't qualify to apply, so that's why they're asking the town.
Right, no, that I know. Anybody else want to speak to this?
You want to
Okay.
read the motion back?
Do you want to read the motion back, Councillor King's asking?
Where is it?
Everybody's sleeping over there.
The council does not approve being a sponsoring agent for the Desert Park Society for their grant application to the South Okanagan Community Foundation, and that the town write a letter of support for the society for their grant application.
We're okay with that?
Just a
I'm
comment.
okay with that.
Councillor Youngberg?
Comment is if they don't qualify to file the application, which is why they involved the town, so they will have to recruit another sponsoring agent to support their application. So that's a communication that was sent my way with a copy to Barry, I believe, yeah. So they don't qualify, so letter of support's great, but it will have to, they'll have to devise another method.
They could go apply for grant and aid if they chose for some funding.
Yeah, you mean to the town?
Yeah, for
I
grant
think
and
that's
aid.
what you recommended, didn't you, Barry?
No?
That was when I did communicate with, I did suggest that that was one option that was available to them. Given the nature of the project and you know,
What's happening?
funding sources like the foundation who are targeting towards charitable projects, you know, my feeling and opinion was that the project should be perceived as charitable, and then you don't waste anybody's time in terms of dealing with an application that would be screened out for that purpose.
Have to revisit that somehow, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. All in favor of the motion?
I'm in favor.
Okay, that's carried. On to reports.
Oh, we're getting there.
Yeah, moving right along. General Sun Bowl Arena and payroll accounts. I guess that's me? Excellent. Report and expenditures from accounts payable for council approval and payroll information for council to receive. General Sun Bowl Arena cash requirements and net payroll to February 6, 2017, representing balances in the following funds in the amount of general cash requirements, $1,686,709.50. Sun Bowl cash requirements, $17,081.24. Net payroll accounts, $74,648.79. Options, approved general and Sun Bowl Arena cash requirements. Received net payroll funds for the period of January 17th to February 6th, 2017. Or 3, do not approve general payroll and Sun Bowl Arena cash requirements. Recommendation is options 1 and 2.
I'll move option 1 and 2.
Those are adopted by consensus.
Even better.
Even better. Okay. Building permit reports for the month of January 2017. Report from senior building official. Who's our senior building official? Is that me again?
That's Neil, yeah.
Am I just reading off this report? Individually or just the totals?
Just the total.
Excellent. The total for the month is $45,500. Total to date for 2017 is the same, $45,500. Total to date for 2016 was $70,000. And do we need to do anything else with that? Motion to receive that report.
So moved.
Councillor King, Councillor Youngberg. Okay. Bylaw enforcement. Sorry? Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor of that motion?
I'm in favor.
That's carried. Okay. Bylaw enforcement report for December 2017, an annual summary for 2016. Report by, drum roll, is that me again?
Yes,
Excellent. All right, for the month, am I just reading all of this?
It's your choice. Or just,
Bylaw enforcement report for the month of December 2016. Total of 110 hours spent and 33 files. That's for general bylaws. For park enforcement, 12.5 hours spent on 4 files. And do we need a motion to receive that? Can I have a motion to receive?
I'll move.
Thank you.
Question?
Yes.
I guess
say a seconder first, then
Okay.
you can ask your question.
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Youngberg.
I know we talked about the past, and maybe it'll start in January, that we were going to have comparisons for a month from the previous year. This is a great report. I don't discredit this report, but you've got really no comparison, so I don't know if we're doing good or bad.
well, and we didn't have the numbers to provide as a general. So now in this after
starting
this
in
year,
January?
we'll have comparisons.
Okay.
And
Appreciate that.
with bylaw enforcement, you never know if you're doing good or bad from one month to another.
Well, I know, but compare kind of apples from
Yep.
January to
Yep.
January. Thank you.
Okay. On to committee report. No, sorry. Sorry. All in favor?
I'm in favor.
I'm in favor.
That's carried. Sorry, I saved all my screw-ups to the end. On to committee reports. Are there any? Hearing none. Our CAO report. Mr. Romanko.
Thank you. Just a few of the activities that the administration has been involved in for the last couple of weeks and some events. Starting first in community services, there will be a free family day event scheduled for Monday, February 13th at the Sunbowl Arena from 1 to 3 with hot dogs and drinks and games and prizes. And we've been able to secure a $1,000 grant for that particular event. Community services grants have now opened, and we have received a number of applications. Deadline for submissions is February 24th, last Friday of the month. Information is available online at the town's website. Staff has applied for an HRDC grant for summer staffing in the amount of $30,000, and is also applying for a tree planting program, Canada 150, which the town could receive up to $5,000 to purchase trees. Roofing at the Snow is moving along. One section is complete, and the contractor is working on the gymnasium. If the weather cooperates, the project will be completed within a couple of weeks. Staff met with the Desert Park Exhibition Society to review the building improvements to be done to the building in the next year. Staff also dealt with a leak at Desert Park. There was no major damage, and the building was reopened on the 28th. In terms of corporate services, working on consolidating bylaws, reviewing, updating, and creation of policies, also reviewing the fees and charges bylaw currently undertaken since the fees have not changed since 2012. A significant amount of work has been done with the Regional Transit Committee to review fares and rider's guide. More information will be coming forward to Council in late February and early March. In terms of finance, currently grant claims for the twinning project and the trail, year-end preparation and budget as well. In terms of public works, painting various pump houses throughout the town, repairing the front hall entrance for water damage again, and also repairing barricades and moving some snow as well, which happens to come along. In terms of the Planning and Development Department, the new Affordable Housing Authority had their first meeting on January 26th to provide input to the town's application form for persons interested in a near-market home. All the members attended, including Mr. David Fallman, Mr. Sam DeMoe, Ms. Colin Lake, who has taken the position of chair, and Ms. Kathy Eyre, who has also taken the position of co-chair. Second, one proposal has been received in response to our RFP on inflatable water park. The proposal was from Okanagan Wibbit, will be reviewed by the Waterfront Steering Committee before proceeding to Council. An RFP is being issued on February 8th for the Gyro Park Pier and Foreshore walkway final design with a closing date of March 1. And a public hearing will be held on February 20th at 4:30 in council chambers on the mixed housing and commercial development application for 4217 Lakeshore Drive and replacement of the regional context statement of our OCP to bring it in conformity with the regional growth strategy. When the building inspector returned from his well-earned vacation, there were 9 new building applications waiting for him, including 5 from Elcar Construction for new homes in the town's subdivision. In terms of the CAO, working with Destination to Soyuz on processes for renewing their MRDT application, also working on a legal agreement for the housing program, and I also assisted the University of Victoria on a study for youth migration from rural communities. And that's my report for today.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to receive the CAO report? Councillor King, Councillor Youngberg. Thank you. On to council reports. Councillor King.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. All in favor of accepting?
I'm in favor.
That's carried.
In favor.
Thank you. Councillor King.
First, I'd just like to really thank the staff for keeping on top of the snow removal in this town, and really just welcome the snowbirds to our beautiful town and all the fresh air they're receiving at this time.
Yeah, they look thrilled. That's where you go.
Oh, that's it. I'm fried.
Is that it?
That's
all right. Thank you, Councillor Youngberg.
Ditto to Councillor King. I've been away on holidays, and I'm just so glad I missed a lot of the snow, but I have to comment as well on our staff that's clearing all this snow away. I think they're still out there shoveling it, so thanks to them and all their hard work. And wish everybody a happy Valentine's Day, and make sure and come and see the Curling for the Ladies Bonspiel this weekend.
Thank you. Councillor Rhodes, do you have any anything to report? Motorcycle rides, anything?
Well, I could go on for hours about that, but I won't bother everybody with it right now.
All right.
The only thing I wanted to mention, and I believe that the CAO covered it, about the grant and aid program being open and active, and hoping that everybody that was wishing to get on that program is in the process of sending their application in. And that was the only thing that I wanted to mention, so thank you.
Thank you. I guess that leaves me. I attended the Soyuz Elementary School Kindness Luncheon at the Sonora Center last week. Always an impressive event with the entire school attending and engaged. And just a massive shout out to Watermark Beach Resort, who donated all of the food to serve hundreds of people, which was just stepping up big. So it was a great event. I also attended the School District 53 board meeting. A lot of the discussion was around a recent research and development trip to a tech high school in San Diego. So we've got to learn about the discussions they had there and what they got out of that visit. And other than that, I was going to say the same thing, just kudos to our operations staff in town under challenging weather and keeping up with it. And other than that, just wishing everybody a happy Valentine's Day and a happy Family Day. And that's my report. Mayor McCordoff.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Councillor Campbell, for handling things very capably today. You've earned your money. I am in Vancouver at the moment because I'm having trouble getting home, and that's why I'm not there today. At the moment, it is snowing in Vancouver, but I'm planning to, because all the flights are booked from the backlog, I'm planning to go by bus as my next option. So it's been, I had a wonderful week down in Cabo San Lucas where it was nice and warm, and I tried not to read all my emails every 10 minutes, but it was difficult. I'm now happy to be almost back home. We did go we left at the airport on a plane last night, circled Penticton Airport, and drove flew right back to Vancouver. They wouldn't land. So that's why I'm in the position that I'm in right now, and I wasn't there. However, I certainly hope that winter is on its way out, and I'm not sure from Ed Cabo. I don't think that the groundhog was available that day, but I'm hoping that the groundhog does not see 6 more weeks of winter, because I think we probably had enough this year. Anyway, I just want to thank everybody for continuing all the great work that they do, and thank you to all of you for participating, and I will be home soon. And thanks, Councillor Campbell.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
No.
Councillor King, Councillor Youngberg. All in favor?
I'm opposed.
Yeah. Too bad.